Welcome to the third installment of my detailed Dolly storage tour. If you missed the other two parts, I was requested a while back to show all my doll storage in more detail because at the start of 2025, I showed an overview of all my doll displays and all my doll storage, basically my entire collection, but obviously that was a very long video and I didn't open every drawer and point out where everything was. So that's why this is a 4-part series. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you the blue room, which is my old bedroom. This room mainly houses some overflow dolls, a few accessories, and the majority of the clothes in my doll collection. I do have an absurd number of dolls, so please keep that in mind. And I also really love organizing, so I probably organize a little extra, more so than the average person would like. None of this happened overnight. This was years of me figuring out what did and didn't work for me and slowly acquiring the things I needed to make this possible. And I also do repurpose a lot of what I already have, so some things have served many purposes over the years. If it's not broken, don't fix it. That's my motto. I decided not to open every single drawer of clothes in this video because my clothes are all individually bagged, but I'll explain that in more detail when we get there. But I did open everything else and show you everything else if you were curious. As I stated in the other two parts, I do have some old tutorials on specifically how and why I store things the way I do in my tips and tutorials playlist. So if you want to know about why I store dolls the way I do, or how I store clothes, shoes, accessories, paper, stuff, furniture, etc., I have videos that go into detail and really break it down for you how and why I do it. And also, if you want to see just an overview of everything all together, feel free to check out my previous two tours from 2023 and 2025. And without further ado, let's get into the video. So this is the blue room. This was my bedroom growing up when my grandmother lived with us. It's a really weird shape because the hot water heater and the furnace are over here, and then in that door is the well pump, and that hole is cut out so you can see the level on the oil tank, which is, you can see the top of the oil tank there. So I try not to keep anything along this wall because these panels are removable. You can actually see they're not fully nailed in place, because if you need to access those appliances, I don't want stuff all over there. And also, hot water heater has flooded. Stuff right there would get the wettest. On this old coffee table, we have my 1978 Barbie dream house that I got secondhand as a 12-year-old. I have each section in one of these huge garbage bags. They're the yard bags. It won't fit because of the shape, the A-line shape. It doesn't fit in the closet with the other big pieces. And I used to just have this out in the open, not covered, but it's kind of a pain to clean because it has a lot of detail, and I just figured this would keep it nice and clean. This big cabinet in the corner here was my grandmother's. She used to keep sewing and crafting stuff in here, and when she moved into her own apartment, she left it. This one kind of sucks because these drawers, they tend to warp really bad, so there's nothing altogether that important in here. And on top, these are some of my smaller fold-up play sets that won't fit on those white shelves from part 2 because they're too tall. So we have my talking townhouse that's in its box, my childhood real friends dollhouse, my Monster High high school, the Sisters cruise ship, my Sweet Orchard barn, and my Generation Girl high school that I got at the flea market as a kid. Today, you can actually open these because the wood stove is going. In here, this is all my childhood Batman stuff, and also a few things I've gotten as an adult, like this Joker. And then Colleen's trolls, and the troll I decided to keep from childhood. We used to have 50 trolls. That was something we were really into when we were kids. And my Batmans are in this old lunchbox. And also there's like my Hello Kitty house, And I think there's an extra Harry Potter power caster in here. This one has all of our like 1/12 scale dollhouse stuff. So some of this is childhood, but like I assembled because my grandfather passed away before he could assemble it all for my sister, and I did that about 2 years ago now. I have a whole video if you're interested. And some of these are things we got at the flea market. Some, like this bed back here, is childhood. Yeah, so it's in its own little drawer. And then these are some overflow, like 18-inch doll type things. This is my Bitty Bunch house that I got at a thrift store. And then this is, it's a piece to a loft bed that we were given. It's My Life As, but we don't have the rest of it, so we just kind of use it as shelves. And that's the other piece to that loft bed with the ladder. And then the My Life As Walmart cart, and then these 2 radio flyer wagons we've had since we were kids. My dad bought them for us at Home Depot for American Girls. And then this guy, this just has a salon chair, and then these 2 desks, there's 2 stacked on top of each other. These are desks my dad made us for Christmas 1998, I want to say. So one was my sister's and one was mine. And then it's going to be kind of hard to see. I'll pull this stuff out. But there are all these shelves, and they all have a bunch of these little boxes of accessories. So on the top shelf, these are all smaller categories, random tackle boxes. These are all like different craft boxes or things for fishing. My mom actually bought us 2 boxes kind of like this as kids for our tiny Barbie accessories, and it was just like the best idea ever. So all the really tiny stuff, it is kept in little organizers like this, except things like shoes where we have like a bunch of them, but really tiny stuff or categories where we don't have a lot of accessories. So these are my OMG hands and tweens hands. I have been recently stockpiling these in inexpensive lots on eBay because they're starting to turn up a lot secondhand without hands, and I just feel terrible having dolls with like missing hands and limbs. Then I have a bunch of Descendants hands that I hoarded again on Mercari and eBay for cheap many years ago. These are all like neck articulations that we salvaged out of, like, they were like randomly in loose flea market bins, or sometimes if we got a doll head that didn't have a body, the joint would still be inside it, and when we'd rebody her to a body donor, that body would have one of these, so I'd harvest these out. Some random things like some dog legs and this cup that came out of a Ken doll. These are American Girl cups that came out of Kanani and my childhood Josephina named Isabella. These are all of my Disney and like animated character accessories. They're super random. These are all of my Monster and Ever After High accessories, like a whole thing of just Laguna's fins. I can't trust those to stay on her. These are all things Colin uses for Kidcore Katie. Not everything is actually Kidcore brand. Some of it's stuff we had as kids that she used to play with Katie. And then these are all my LOL, Surprise, and OMG accessories. And I do keep my LOL shoes in here for the time being, but they'll probably eventually move into a bigger drawer. And then this is all of my Mary-Kate and Ashley accessories. Shelf 2 has all of these like MGA brand doll accessories. So this is one for my Bratz dolls. These are some larger ones. This is one of those fishing tackle boxes my dad gave me that does not have flick dividers anymore. These are more Bratz accessories. Even more Bratz accessories. This one has like a lot of the jewelry and the makeup. And I have like all my earrings, for instance, that don't have mates, have their own little section. Then this is all my little Bratz stuff. And this is actually like all of their accessories. They don't have like a drawer with bigger accessories because all their stuff is so tiny. This is my Moxie Girls accessories. Miscellaneous MGA, so it would be like the Forever Best Friend. Some of these are like recycled Bratz molds. Then we have Rainbow High and Shadow High, stuff like that. Bratz Kids and Babies accessories, and these are Little Angels. And you will note that I labeled them all. This was something I did maybe last year because Yes, they're see-through, but if you want to grab something quickly, it's a lot easier. Like, you can see the labels there, to just know what you're looking for and not have to like pull out a bunch and actually look at them. And then the less you needlessly handle these, the less likely they are to accidentally come open and spill. So I don't know, it's just handier that way. And I chose black and white for everything on all my containers. I labeled them all that way on black cardstock with white paint pen on top because it provides the best contrast when I'm trying to see things in this dimly lit basement. Alright, and all of these are on shelf 3. And I should also note I labeled both sides of these so that it doesn't matter which way you put them back in. Same with the doll containers. All of my containers are labeled on both sides, so you don't have to think about which way you're putting them back on the shelf. So one of my great loves in life, and my sister, is doll food. We have always been obsessed with like miniature food. So I have so many different, I have 3 tiny containers just for like doll food. Now, Barbie is such a large category that anything that is like Barbie size that's kind of miscellaneous just gets categorized with her stuff. Whereas, especially because a lot of clones and brands and whatnot you actually reuse Barbie molds, so it makes sense to keep them together. Whereas like Bratz are more segregated in that regard. Not all of these are even made for dolls. A lot of them are like resin food we got for free via Amazon Vine. And I also did buy some for Colleen one year for her birthday. And there is some growing room. I remember recently expanding to a 3rd one of these. This is all of my, there's actually 4 of them. This is more like dishware though, with some food, where we keep all of our tiny forks. And that is how I managed to hold on to all of my tiny utensils as a kid, because I would keep them in something like this. And like my little Grand Hotel credit card I've had since I was a kid, and the money to my Happy Family store, it was all kept in one of these. Then these are like Barbie beauty products for the most part, and some like medical supplies. More like Barbie beauty products, or Barbie sized products. These are like Kelly and toddler and baby accessories because, you know, if you're setting up a scene, a toy is a toy. It doesn't really matter like who it belongs to. And I had a lot of clone play sets of baby dolls as a kid. I used to buy them at like Big Lots because they had cool accessories. And then this is Skipper and Stacy. And then this is my hoard of Monster High parts. Again, this was years of buying inexpensive lots on eBay and Mercari, harvesting body donors at the flea market, and back when Mattel had a parts shop, I would always buy enough to make the shipping worthwhile. So I just have lots of parts. And then the only thing in that big deep compartment is this fishing tackle box that my dad bought for me at like an indoor yard sale, quote unquote, back in 2011. It was actually full of fishing tackle, and he took it all out and let me have the box, and I cleaned it up. I actually used to keep my Barbie food in here, fun fact, but it outgrew this space very quickly. So this is just like a lot of random Barbie and miscellaneous doll accessories. You can see like picture frames and clocks, different candles and sculptures, present boxes, CDs and vinyls, movies, other electronics, headsets and headphones. And then beneath that is another compartment where I have like sunglasses organized by mold, binoculars, like barbells and other sporting stuff, frisbees, different hair accessories, leashes, more ribbons, medals and other necklaces or necklace type things, belts, pet toys, different stethoscopes and other weird sized accessories, little masks, those clipboards and random trays. So the newest like major purchase to my doll storage would be these 2 identical red shelves. I got them about a year ago from Walmart's website. They happened to be on sale, and we weren't really using this room to the best of its potential because, as you can see, there's no like windows over here. There's only one window in this room over there. Before I had like all my backdrops lined up over here, and it was just a waste of all this beautiful vertical space. So I came up with the idea to put shelves in, and I got these extra wide ones. I think they're like an extra foot wide than one of those sections, and you can adjust them. So unfortunately, because you have to consider the width of these, so like the bottom three can all fit my standard doll size container, and then the top one cannot, and you can't really fit like a fourth one of these. It won't fit in the space of the bar. That's why there's smaller ones, but that's fine. Like, that's why I can't have all my Barbies together, because I just have too many containers, because I have like 10 over on that bureau over there, and I could not fit 10 of those size containers here. So I have a lot of growing room. I intentionally got extra. I thought about just getting one, and I'm like, no, they might discontinue it. It might not be on sale. With inflation, it might go up. I have the money. It'll just look more complete, even if it's pretty empty. And you can see we've like started filling it. And my containers, I had to buy all of like these containers with the green lids over there after I bought this shelf, because I needed to make more room for my dolls. That's why I bought these, because my Barbie containers were all hitting the top. So you can see like most of them are about half or 3/4 of the way full, and I reorganized them into containers this size back in like 2016, and it took me like 9 years for them to start hitting the top. And I just don't buy dolls in bulk like I used to. It's not really, because I have so many of the common ones, I don't really buy a lot of big bins of Barbies anymore unless they're really worth my time. Like there's someone really special, there's a lot of clothes, and some of them are just in like random containers, like this one here that Chelsea's in. That was actually bought from Molly's tea set a long time ago. So some of these I bought special, some of them we just had laying around, and a lot of them you'll notice are like green and red, like in part 2. That's because of the Christmas containers go on sale every year, and I always take advantage of those sales if I need a container, so I don't really care that they don't match. It doesn't bother me. Alright, so all the dolls that were on that top row. So I have a lot of celebrity type dolls, kind of a weakness of mine. I don't actually like celebrities, I don't really care about famous people, but I just love dolls that have unique sculpts. So I segregated out some of my ones that I had more of or were more likely to grow. So this container has my High School Musical dolls, Hannah Montana, Twilight, and Britney Spears. It's a very odd medley, but that's who's in here. My High School Musical dolls used to live with Mary-Kate and Ashley, but they were hitting about the top, and I have pretty much all of the Mary-Kate and Ashley dolls they made. I'm actually only presently missing the Holiday and the Sun dolls, who were just sold in repackaged outfits that I already own, so I don't even want them. But and one Ashley, the It's Your Look Ashley. But I have, like, they fit in here really nicely, and if I get duplicates or something, these were always some of my favorites. And then this is like some random, these are dolls that used to live in the miscellaneous bin, but again, they didn't have enough to go in their own containers, but I needed to split the miscellaneous dolls. So this is Ideal Tammy, Ideal Jody, Star, like the old Mattel Star dolls, the Star Spangled, Sunshine Family, and Heart Family. So I kept like some of them together based on, based on molds, like Sunshine Family and Star Spangled use the same molds, though I don't have that many. So, but I love Heart Family and Sunshine Family and the Star dolls and Tammy, so these are all ones like if I see, I buy. These are miscellaneous minis and kids, so like Colling's Madeline dolls. We have my extra mini Disney princesses, my mini Barbies, this random like mini Rapunzel. And then last but not least is Stacy and Friends, which Colleen did not put these back nicely when she was digging around. They're getting pretty full, but you know how many go across in a row? It's going to take forever for her to fill this. So these containers came from that row. There's only 3. So I have so many 90s Barbies. This was the Barbie boom when Mattel was producing the most Barbies, and they were like at peak popularity. And like not just producing the most numbers, but like making the most different types of Barbies too. That's why in the 80s you get a lot of the same dolls, whereas in the 90s there was just more options. So they needed a lot of spreading out. So this is 1990 and 1991 Barbies. This is my 92 and 93 Barbies. And then everyone else from here on out, it's just the year. So this is 94. And if you're wondering, I always do box dates for my dolls. I don't go by release dates. You're one of those people that go by box dates or by release dates. And box dates make more sense to me, but I always get corrected on dates because people don't realize I go by box date. It's irrefutable. The box date is there. Alright, and we have all the bins from this third row. We have 1995 Barbies. And I recently did all the potpourri in all my containers and clothing drawers. All my clothing drawers have these too. So, yeah, very ambitious. I had a whole list. So this is 96 Barbie, 97 Barbie, and if you didn't see part 2, my Barbie friends are stored separately. This is just Barbie herself. Then we have miscellaneous, like, babies. There is just no way to, like, get them to sit nicely, unless you're gonna buy something with, like, really narrow slots, but I need to fit a lot in here. They even have potpourri. And then these are all my strawberry shortcake dolls. These are all my Cave Club dolls. I have most of the ones of these that they made. And I do only have one of the tots, so she just lives in here. And then my Disney girls, my Disney dolls are mostly on display. I know, I have like 2 huge containers of them. But they're some of my favorites of all time to collect. So these are like duplicates, or triplicates, or dolls that don't have their outfits, or I just don't have room for them. So my dolls on display do change out. Like, I do give these guys a chance to come out on display. Kind of just depends on my mood. I had to segregate them. They were all in this container before. So this is Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid, Aladdin, and Tangled, just the girls. The boys are in their own separate container because they're beefier. And then this is everybody else. Like, this girl was just on my display, but I got another one of her in a bin this flea market season, so I thought I'd give that doll some time to shine. Alright, and these are the last doll containers you're going to see in all of these video parts. These are all the containers that were on that bottom row. So we have my 1998 Barbies. We have my 1999 Barbies, and you can see, like, these ones are just about halfway. And then my 60s and 70s Barbies, they have a lot of potpourri in here. I gave them extra because they just naturally get kind of stinky. Same with Ken dolls, because they're older. So they have an excessive amount of potpourri to control the, like, weird old doll odor that they get. Then this is my Chelsea and Friends container. This was actually, I recently reorganized them. They used to live with my Kelly dolls, but they're taller, so they didn't really fit well in that container. So I just gave them this, and that gives me like years worth of growing room because I'm just starting to get them secondhand, like, pretty often. These are my sister's Skipper dolls. So this would be 60s, 70s, 80s, Skipper, and Friends. So you can see, like, Scooters up top. Her Courtney's, Sonia. Colleen has loved Skipper since we were kids. And then these are our 90s to present day Skipper. And they're also some of the slightly stinkier ones. So that's this entire shelf. I showed you everything, and there is a lot of growing room. And my motto when I'm buying things for storage is I don't just buy for what I have. I try to make space because I do love collecting dolls, and I want to allow growing room. I don't personally prune my collection. I did it in the past when I first started and when I was a kid, and it always led to a lot of regret. So, you know, I mean, one day I will run out of space, and we'll come to that when we get there, but the key is being really organized, and every time I think I've run out of space, I can Tetris my way in, and I just really care about the dolls being comfortable and not being shoved and crammed. That's one of the reasons why I invested in this shelving unit, and like more containers so they'd be more comfortable, so they weren't, because you know they're older, especially when you get into like the 90s and older, they're a lot more brittle just from age. So I don't want to shove them. If in the case of Mary Kate and Ashley, I have like pretty much all of the ones they made, and I'm not realistically going to go out of my way to buy anymore. Any ones I would get from here on out would just be in like flea market bins or something. I don't need a lot of growing room, but like they made so many 90s Barbies, so that's just why I do it that way. Obviously, if you're not like actively adding to your collection, then it makes more sense to just buy for the space you need, not plan for the future. And also, it upsets some people for some reason that I don't have all my dolls on display. And if they like a certain type of doll and I don't have them on display, they take it the wrong way. I love all my dolls, and I have had like Barbies and Mary Kate and Ashley and Monster High, and I've had a lot of different ones on display over the years, but I just can't physically keep up with like all of them. I don't have the space for all of them on display, and they do come out for playtime. Like if you watch my vlogs or you follow my Flickr, we're always taking the dolls out for things. I was just in here giving them all new potpourri, like we do inventory checks. I mean, we do a lot with them. So, I mean, you know, that's just, I can't have them all on display, and I pick the ones on display that like feel the most like me. So they do get loved, I promise. And then over here, this is like a really weird space. These shelves weren't quite long enough to go to the end of the wall. So I just figured I'd put some of our random smaller clothing bins and smaller accessory containers. Most of my accessories are in the other room. That's just the way the cookie crumbled. I couldn't fit them all there, but and a lot of these I got like for free on the side of the road, like this one and that one. That's why they don't all match and they're kind of weird, but you can stack these. So I'm not going to open every clothing drawer. So my clothes, I bag them all and I label them. And the reason I do that is because I used to just store my clothes in like a zipper case, and I'd have them like subdivided by like pants and shirts and dresses, or like if I did it by decade, they'd just be all freestyling. And it's just the Velcro is more likely to snag at things. It's harder to find if you're looking for a specific like original outfit to a doll, or if you want to dress them in a complete fashion pack. And I have a lot of duplicated pieces, so that way I can keep them all together. And it's just, I don't know, that works for me. I keep anything fabric. For instance, I have a few of these Megan Sleepover Adventure Megan things, and that way when I want to dress her, I can see which pieces are the nicest. Yeah, and I have an obscene amount of doll clothes. So this one and this one are all clothes. So we have my Bratzillas, Strawberry Shortcake, Mini Dolls, Liv, and Bratz Kids. And then this guy up here, this is all like the shoe boxes and hat boxes that came with OMG dolls. They're great props, but they take up a lot of space. Then we have miscellaneous kids and babies that are not Mattel clothes. Kid Core Katie's clothes, or things Colleen uses on her that are off-brand, random bedding, and then these are accessories. So these are all like big coolers and trays. Most of my food stuff is in the other room, but that's just what fit in here. These are all of like our electronics. And then this is my like bigger tub of Disney stuff. I have another drawer you'll see in a minute. These are all my Bratz pets, and I bagged some of the ones that are flocked because they're prone to getting, I don't know, like dusty or splotchy. So I have them bagged to keep them nice. And I do wash all of my stuff before I put it away. I don't just like go to the flea market, buy it, and put it away. Even as a kid, I had my own way of cleaning things. These are all my dogs. And then down here, these are all just random pets. And there's even this little tiny guy, smaller pets like chicks and birds, random weird things. So these two guys we've had since we were kids. My mom bought them for us for our toys, and they have served their purpose very well. So on top here, this whole tote is all my unidentified doll clothes. I like to identify my doll clothes and take pictures of them for my Flickr guide. And I have these all bagged. You can see, like, I organize each type of clothing, so when I'm trying to identify, I can just bring this whole thing upstairs to do research, and I'll do that a few times a year. just like make a point of trying to identify stuff. I'll never have it all identified, but it's all been cleaned and put away, and any duplicated pieces I'll actually subdivide together. And then this is my Cabbage Patch Kids case that I got when I first started collecting them back in 2021. I got it off eBay with 2 of my preemies. I don't usually store things in these cases, but it works for my cabbie stuff. So I have a bag of their a couple bags of shoes. And then this is actually like Barbie play food for kids that came with one of the vehicles we have. It's great for Cabbage Patch. I have some like real baby bottles that came with some reborn clothes, and then just random cabbie accessories. And then in these drawers, this is empty. This one is all smaller Disney stuff, so we have like swords, and then headwear, and then their pets. And then the rest of these are clothes, so miscellaneous MGA. So like my Moxie Girls clothes are in here, my mermaid, stuff like that. These are random celebrity clothes. Rainbow and Shadow High recently got a drawer because I'm starting to get their stuff secondhand. Little Brats, Bratz Babies, Stacy. These are Mattel Kids and Babies, so like Kelly, Chrissy, you know. And then Mary Kate and Ashley have, yes, a very full drawer of clothes. Over here, this is my tower of clothing. So all of these are individual, separate containers, and I'm so sad that they discontinued this size. It was always my dream to have like one more, but they were kind of expensive, so I would buy them 1 or 2 at a time, and I think I did this for like over a year. Every few weeks when I'd go grocery shopping, I'd like grab 1 or 2, and unfortunately they were discontinued, and they cost a ton of money online after they were discontinued. So this is where like all of my Barbie and Bratz clothes, like regular Bratz clothes, are. And then you'll note there's these 2 empty bins. These were like $5 at the thrift store last year, and I saw them and I was like, you never see ones like modular drawers of this size, so I am just gonna grab them while I can, and then when I need them I'll have them. So I do thrift a lot of my bins. Like this one was from that same thrift store. So we have my 2010s and 2020s Barbie clothes, Monster and Ever After High, and you can see all the little potpourri in each one of them. Kidcore and Ideal Toys, not counting Gaby. LOL and OMG. Truly miscellaneous. These are reborn baby clothes and like real baby clothes that my Cabbage Patch dolls wear. This is really full. This probably needs to be subdivided. Ken and Mattel guys, Disney and character dolls, 90s fashion packs, 90s original, 2000s original fashion packs, and 2000s original. I have Skipper, 60s and 70s Barbie, 80s Barbie fashion packs, and 80s Barbie original. Some of them are like really full despite being subdivided. And then my Bratz dolls I did by character. So we have Chloe and Yasmin, Sasha, Jade, and Megan, miscellaneous Bratz and fashion packs, and Bratz boys. And I do have, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find it, but like let's say I took Study Abroad Jade's outfit and dressed someone in it for display. I would save this empty bag and have like Ziplocs in here in every drawer for empty bags. Of course, if, say, I found another Study Abroad Jade, and this was her original outfit, and this was what she was always going to wear, I would just repurpose this bag for something else, but I do have bags in here, in each drawer, for the empty bags. I do have stuff in the closet, but this is actually one big closet that goes from there to there, and in Babyland, which is the room on the other side, there's 2 doors that connect to the same closet. It was like, this was supposed to be my closet, and then that was my dad's closet, and that was my mom's closet, but it was all, I'll show you what I mean. You can see like where the support beam is. So I had like this space and that space for my stuff, but it connected all the way down to where my parents' things were. So when we get into the other room, you'll see everything, but this is where my Monster High Deadlock School is. I actually have 2 of them. That's the second one over there. You can see I labeled this one Nice Version. And then this is my 3-story dream house, the top tower of it, and then that is my Our Generation stable. and I think those are the catacombs. That's what I use a closet for. These are all like American Girl clothes. Not all of them. We have more in the other room, but these are Bitty Baby, Girl of the Year, like Contemporary American Girl, Welly Wishers, and a couple random characters. So you're probably wondering what these empty bins are. These are our main transport bins. So if we're dressing dolls or putting stuff away or taking photos, filming videos, we have these like bowls that we'll put accessories in or empty bags in. We'll put dolls or playset pieces or whatever. These are just literally, they always stay empty because we use them for transport. It makes it easy because we do a lot of stuff upstairs, but we, you know, store everything down here. My American Girl bags are a little bit different. I will show you what I mean. Okay, so this is like Ramona's meat outfit. So I used to store their jewelry and shoes separately, but I have hundreds of handmade fixins. So, and also I was running out of shoe space. Someone is wearing these shoes right now, but like I'll have a bag in each of these bags if I made earrings for them. So these are the earrings I made, or if there's like a necklace that comes with the outfit. So I'll bag like all of the wearable components to an outfit. Like, you know, there's the hair accessories, jewelry, and shoes. They all get bagged together now. I used to do American Girl clothes like how I do my Barbie stuff, where it's all separated by like textile. So like fabric, plastic, but it, like I said, I just had too many of them, and their stuff is all like so much bigger, and it makes dressing them so much easier. And when I redid all my Flickr photos 2 years ago, it was way easier just grabbing a bag and having everything I needed. Obviously, like accessories that were sold with this, like say if there was a skateboard or food or something, that's with accessories that I showed in part 1. So I divided my Girl of the Year, Girl of Today, Truly Me clothes by year. I just figured out how many bags I roughly had and how much space they take up. And then these white ones, I got them from Walmart's website. They sadly don't make them anymore. I originally bought them for my Cabbage Patch dolls. I bought like 2, and then I bought 2 more. These are great because the whole drawer can easily come out. So we have 95 to 2003, 2004 to 2011, 2012 to 2017, 2018 to present. And then we have, the Girl of the Year kind of got split up weird, but we have the 2020 to present day Girl of the Year. Courtney has her own impressive drawer, and she has a lot of separates. So like we'll put all her shoes that were sold separately in a bag, and then like these are some of her accessory sets, and then she'll have like these are separate bottoms. And in this case I didn't itemize everything in the bag. I used to, but it was ridiculous. But yeah, every bag is labeled. And then we have 95 to 2002 Biddy, 2003 to 2007 Biddy, 2008 to present Biddy, and then the rest of the Girl of the Years, 2001 to 2010, 2011 to 2014, 2015 to 2019. We have Welly Wishers and actually Glitter Girls too. It just made more sense to keep the Glitter Girls stuff with them. And then Nenea, her drawer is pretty empty. And then these are Colleen's Magic Attic clothes, which are busting out of here. So I hope you enjoyed this third installment to my detailed Dolly storage tour. Stay tuned for the fourth and final part, which will be my favorite. And as always, if you're interested in seeing any of my stuff, and like if you want to know every doll that's in my collection, every outfit, every piece of furniture, etc., I have an encyclopedia of all my dolls on Flickr. You can feel free to check it out. It's always linked below. And until next time, love your dolls, love yourself, and love your life.